Hello and howdy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to UI Fridays. Wow, it's already Friday. Can you believe it? I'm gonna send out our tweet that we're going live, and we're having a few technical difficulties with our guest who will be joining us. So I'm gonna wait to announce that. But yes, I'm gonna pull up our comments. If you're joining me in chat, hello, welcome. Let me know where you're at in the world, what time of the day it is for you. It is 1 1 p.m. here in Oklahoma, and it is so good to be here. Didn't know if I was going to make it. We've got this cold running rampant through our household. But I'm so excited about this topic, and I've prepped some code demos for us to talk about and go through, and I'm excited to talk to you all about accessibility in HTML with your CSS, maybe some JavaScript, screen readers, all of it. So today should be a very, very fun show. So yes, if you're in the chat, say hello, welcome, welcome. I am pulling up. So we are going to be using, if you've never used screen readers before or programmed for them before, I'm going to be using Chromevox today. She'll be our lovely guide. And let's see if we can get her. I want her voice, her beautiful voice, to come through our stream, because today we're going to be talking about accessibility and how I know there's so much with inclusiveness and accessibility beyond screen readers, but I specifically wanted to tackle screen readers today because I feel like it's a very tangible thing, right? Is it working in my screen reader? Can I tab through it? So wait. Hi, Turtle. Hi. Let's see. Can we hear you?
Let's test it.
Testing.
So I do hear you, but I think we're gonna have to be really quick on the muting when we swap. I think it'll be fine. So for those of you who don't know, we've got the headless turtle with us today. So like I said, we're both struggle busing through a cold, so forgive us and our nasally voices. But I really wanted to bring Turtle on. He's the one who actually got me into accessibility. Well, really, he got me into web in general. But anytime I have a question as far as how should that be built, turtleguyy, aka my husband, the guy in the office, hence the echo. Hi, Molly. Is the one who I run to, and he's always got just killer examples and things to teach me. And so I was like, please come on UI Fridays. Let's talk about accessibility. So welcome, Turtle. Can you tell everybody here a little bit about what you do? I mean, obviously programmer, UI expert, but just a little bit basic Turtle.
Yeah, so I'm a programmer, UI expert, basic turtle stuff. I do a lot of CSS, JavaScript, Swift, Objective-C, whatever needs to be done, really.
And then in your spare time, you're a turtle, obviously. So
obviously.
So yes, turtleguyy is at turtleguyy on Twitter if you want to follow him. He doesn't tweet like ever, so it just would be an extra random, but he is a brilliant programmer and the reason I got into programming in the first place. So let's hop into it. We've got a shorter show today because we've got a tight schedule with our guest here. But yes, accessibility. So I'm going to pull up some examples. Of tabs. So we're talking about accessibility, we're talking about screen readers, but it's all going to be in the context of building out tabs. So I'm going to pull this over to that screen, and in a second we're going to test and see if we can all hear our gorgeous screen reader, Chromevox. But let me see. There we go. Sorry. I want to find the correct one because what we're going to be talking about are different ways that you can build out tab components, essentially, like where you have different tabs layered on top of each other. As you navigate through them, the content changes. And here it is. This is the one that I wanted to pull up. I think this is our hacky guy. I like to call him our hacky guy. Let's go ahead and share screen. Woo, that's actually not the right button. And I think I'll just go ahead and share, as long as I share this whole window with you, entire screen, window. Okay, let's see if this works. So this is, and Turtle, let me know if you remember if you remember this. Like, it looks obviously a bit different, but back in the day, this is one of like the first hacks, I don't know what else to call it, that you taught me. And I believe this is the correct example. And we say bye-bye JavaScript because there is none. This is something that Turtle really shines at, is doing things. If you ever say, can that be done without JavaScript? He will know. He will know, or he will make it happen. So this is an example that I built out using a radio button hack. And there's no better person to explain what is happening right here, like how we're making these tabs possible, than the Turtle guy. So Turtle, I want to take it, put it over to you for a minute. Can you explain this hack, and if you would or would not recommend it in production? Is my, like, I'm going to ask you, we've got multiple examples of tabs and like just ways to build them out with and without JavaScript. And so that's going to be my end question after each example is, okay, but really, would you ship this? So can you explain, Lay Turtle? I'll mute.
The radio button trick I have used many times in production. It works with checkboxes too, just as well. For tabs, you need the radio buttons because the name attribute gives you the tab behavior. But so the way it works in CSS, there is a pseudo state called checked that you can do on radios or checkboxes. And you can check when a radio is checked, grab the label that comes after it, and change the background color, just like that. You can do the label that comes after it. You can do children that are in it. You can do siblings that are after it. In this case, it's just the immediate sibling of the label. But yeah, that checked pseudo state is the secret to make it all work.
I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle to remember to unmute because we're in the same office. So Gator said, am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club, The Master of Disguise? Good movie. First of all, welcome. I see our chat numbers are going up. If you're joining us, whether on YouTube or Twitch, say hi in the chat. Good to see you. Today, we're talking to the love of my life, Turtle Guy, about accessibility and hacky things that you can do with CSS. So as I was saying, sorry to reintroduce this. I just noticed our numbers going up. So I want to explain what we're doing today. So we're going to be building out tabs, and I'm showing a couple different examples that I came up with and then some that Turtle came up with of how to do tabbed content with and without CSS. And so Turtle just showed off this one that I built, but he taught me, where you're using these radio buttons and you're using the radio button attribute of checked to toggle. So this part right here on line 62 is changing the background color. Where is the content though, Turtle? Because like if we have these like headers that are changing, and I'm assuming we could throw in different content chunks there as well.
Yeah, it's just got to be further down in the page. But since the content is not an immediate sibling of the radio button, that's why you have to call out each one by their ID. There's no generic way to call them out. Because you can't just say whichever radio is checked, grab the content wrapper of that one. You have to use the ID selector to do it.
There's only so much, I don't know, what is it called? Like there's only so much this has to be in the exact order that I can handle. So I know what you're saying, where we could have cleaned this up a bit by putting our content that goes like with the fake content bars and the different changing headers. We could have put it below each like input and label. And so then the call out in CSS would have been much cleaner, but also like it's so fragile to me. Like it's so breakable because it has to be in a certain order. And like, lols, anybody else comes along and adds something, changes something, moves the content. And so, I mean, obviously it's already breakable because it has like this label has to follow the input. Is that correct?
Yep. So you're using the immediate immediate sibling selector with that plus up above. So if there's anything in between the input and label, that will not work.
But you said that you have used this in production. So are you not scared of the order going wrong?
Sure. I mean, yes, that's always a concern. Ideally, you would leave a comment of this needs to be here. Don't touch this. Here be dragons. Ignore this code. Something like that. Or, as with a lot of my projects where I work, I am the only front-end dev working on it, so it's not a huge concern for me. But yeah, if someone else takes it over, they could definitely mess it up, and then it just doesn't work anymore.
Now we're not only talking about hacky ways to do things without JavaScript and is it possible, is it not possible today, but we are also bringing in screen readers. So if you're ready, Turtle, I'm ready. We're going to turn on Chromevox and we're going to see how she does. So and then we'll do this with each example. I think we have maybe 4 or 5 total examples of like how to do tabs, which is this again was when I fell in love with like programming, was with building out things with HTML and CSS in the web, and like just the amount of ways that you can do it. It's beautiful. So let's go to, I want to do the full page view. Because I'm trying to clean up the UI as much as possible so that when we go to Chromevox for each of these examples, she's not trying to select the CodePen UI, but rather just get to our chunk. I think I'm going to need to reshare. We're going to turn her on. So yes, if you've never used screen readers before, I recommend playing around with this one. It's called Chromevox and it's a Chrome extension. So I'm going to turn her on and okay, she's coming through my headset. Let me stop screen sharing. And we're going to share screen with the Chrome tab. Yeah, there it is. And I think that's the one. And I'm going to share it with audio. So chat, can you hear her? Let me know in the chat. Do you have a link for the CodePen examples? Absolutely, Hector. I will share that with you. Can you hear her talking? No? No! Of course not. Let me see if I can put her on internal speakers maybe. And we're going to do it. I mean, talk about hacky things.
Hands clapping. Man shrugging. Hands clapping.
Okay. Turtle's telling me that you can hear it now. So, okay. Yes. I'm going to get you a link-a-dink to each one of these. But let's see if we can, without clicking on the mouse, if we can tab through our tabs.
Windows CSS challenge. Jira service managed. Close app.
So it just...
Change view. View print navigate. Jira service management. Reimagined ITSM.
So it's jumping like right over all of the content. So if I click into the tab, let's see if we can tab through the tabs once I have selected one.
Hands clapping. Jira service hands clapping. Speed Grell's header. Heading 1. Close app. Wrap to top.
And I forgot to show you this. I'm going to pull this over on the screen. I don't actually know if you can see her. Oh, boo. Turtle told me about this. We brew installed it, but I don't know what it's called. Micro applet. We'll call it a micro applet. That shows, it's called Keycaster. And so for recordings, it shows what keys you're typing, but I don't think you can see her right now, which makes me, I know what I can do. I can stop screen sharing. And what if I share my whole window? Yeah. And you'll see like me within me, and it's totally fine. And we're going to pull that up. Okay. So as I tab through, you can see my tabs on the Keycasters popping up. So I'm going to try Shift will jump me into the content, but I can't actually I'm arrowing. So this was what I was worried about. And I'm going to turn her off because she's loud in my ear. Manage extensions. And then I am Hector asked. So I'm going to make sure to share this link with the chat. So this is the first example. Turtle, could you name this example? I always call it our radio button tab hack. Do you have a better name for example one?
Maybe like a radio button tab hack.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. Sorry that you can't hear Chromevox. I will do my best as we go through each example to just put her through my through my computer. So I think that's something I love. I love StreamYard. Love it. But I think that's something that they definitely need to up the game on is audio sharing because it's a subpar. Okay. So we are going to go to share that one. And so this was the first one, the first way that I thought of, just because anytime you can do something without JavaScript, I'm like, yeah, that's the way. But it is a bit fragile because of the order. And I wanted to pull this one up. I think, so this one is Wallace Eric's example. And I'm going to go ahead and copy it and paste it into chat before we get going on this one. I think this one it might be exactly the same. Let me see. So they've got, but it might be what Turtle was talking about. So they've got an input, a label, and then I think like the tab panel content right underneath it. So what that means is, as Turtle was saying, their selector should be a bit cleaner. I think I must have passed it. So we've got the ID. Turtle, what is this one? I don't ever use the up caret in CSS selectors.
I'm pretty sure the up caret comes from regex stuff. I think the up caret means starts with, whereas the $sign means ends with.
Beautiful. And I'm assuming on days that you do CSS and you're not Swifting, you use selectors like a boss like this all the time or rarely?
Yeah, this is pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know why. I think anytime we're using something special like this, I'm like, let's just name it what we mean. I guess it's useful because it's starting with tab. So you can have like tab 1 and then tab content 1, tab 2, tab content 2. So here is the magic. I like how he put that, where he's selecting the label that follows the checked ID that starts with tab. And then this is the simplified version where it looks like the following, or this is sibling is what he's called. I'm a child of. Yes, I don't know his official, the Enye. Make him a bit bigger. So yes, this is the cleaned up version. Let's see if we can. I'm going to put my audio on my internal mic, and we're going to turn on Chromevox again. Hello, darling. And I wanted
Chromevox, but pure CSS tabs tab. Tab list with 2 items. Pure CSS tab list with 2 pure CSS tab list with description. Radio button selected.
So this was the fear of mine. First of all, it's not very easy to tab into it or to get selected with just your keyboard.
Description. Description. Quote lorem ipsum. List item. Description. Radio button selected.
And then the other thing that worries me is that it's announcing it like it's a radio button because it is a radio button. And that worries me a little bit because it doesn't match what everyone's experience is, because no one else is seeing a radio button. It's not a form. Why am I hearing about a radio button when it's a tab? So and it's not working very smoothly.
770p
Thank you, darling. I'm gonna turn her off for now. So it's not working as expected. And so my next one, my third example, is actually a fiddle, because, and Andrew Bone is the one who created this one. Absolutely beautiful. Pulling it up and plopping it in the chat. So this third way, which is really the second way, the first two ways were very similar. They just had more dependency on order. So this one is all the JavaScripts, as I like to call this example. And I'm showing, yes, it is a tab. Yes, the content is changing and the active state's changing. And if I want to pull up the JavaScript a little bit larger for the good folks watching on the telly. Okay. So here we have how many lines of JavaScript? 74 lines of pure JavaScript, no library, with event listeners to toggle through the content on the tabs. And so everybody knows, at least most people know, with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can do anything, right? There's no limitations. So this isn't a surprise to me to see, about 80, 70 lines of JavaScript. They're changing out content and then also changing out active state so that your tabs can have active states. Pretty normal stuff. How does it perform with a screen reader? So I think there's a way to pull up. I want to pull it up with just. I might have to just pull it up like this. I thought there was a way to pull it up by itself, but I'm not very familiar with JS Fiddle. So we're gonna run it like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn her back on. Hello, Chromevox. Welcome back into our lives.
Chromevox spoken feedback is right. Accessible tabs. JS Fiddle. Code tab 2. Tab 3. Tab not select. Lorem ipsum quote nec porto quisquam est qui de lorem ipsum save. Internal 4. Got it. List with side 2 spaces.
Sorry, I'm
1.
trying to keep her.
Selected 1 of 3.
I'm trying to keep her out of the JS Fiddle, but it very easily, as I click tab
2.
hops
Tab not selected
over.
Selected 2 of 3.
You can press enter. It'll go into that tab. You can press shift,
Tab 3.
which also works as navigating.
HTML. Combo box 1 of 2. Extensions tab.
Sorry, she's very loud. Okay. So I'm going to change my audio back into my headphones and then ask Turtle his thoughts on such a thing. So it looks like we are listing out the container, the tab list, the tabs, tab panels, the active tab. We are private function to set event listeners. So, I mean, even things like setting the key, like grabbing the key code if it's equal to 13 or 32, return or space, these things for Aria controls, and so that people can actually like use just their keyboard on your component is like beautiful. It's super useful, right? As you could see, the other ones weren't even tabbable without this. But it kind of breaks my heart a little bit that that it doesn't just that all of this doesn't work by default. So yes, Turtle, any thoughts on our JavaScripty version?
I think this is pretty much the minimum you would need for the JavaScript option. You have to capture all the key codes and translate them into actual actions in the tabs. And yeah, some of this you just can't do without JavaScript.
So I've got a brilliant, absolutely brilliant link to an article on dev.to. And I'm going to share that out right now. And I'm going to bring it up right now before we go into turtles examples. And I will pull it up while we talk about it. And it goes into, it's Andrew's, the brilliant person behind the example, the JS Fiddle that I just sent. But essentially, he will walk you through like why he did the different pieces of JavaScript and why they're needed. But something that, oh, it looks like an error occurred. Let me know if you guys didn't see the link on Twitch to this article, and I'll resend it. But something that he said that I absolutely loved and I thought was brilliant was like semantics over like this handwritten forcing it to be this way. And so that's something I guess I don't understand why we have to capture all of the key events and why we have to listen for them and we have to make them happen, because I guess I don't understand why it doesn't just work that way. Is it because browsers aren't used to tab components yet? I don't I don't know if you could speak to that, Turtle, because I'm like, shouldn't we be able to just like semantically be like, here's a tab, and it's like, I know what to do with that.
Well, we don't have a tab HTML element, so no, there's no built-in things to do it. However, you can do some of this without JavaScript. So you can set things like tab indexes to tell things, to override the tab order and for what the tab should do or not. And then it just depends on what the element is, whether spacebar or enter will actually click it. If it's an anchor, yeah, enter will click it. If it's a label, I don't think spacebar or enter will do anything. It's just depends on your markup.
So I'm gonna pull up this first one. Let's see, turtles, and you can let me know if the order got messed up. Turtle sent me 3 gorgeous links. Is this our first one? Tabs with anchors?
Tabs with anchors.
Awesome. Okay, sending it out to the chat. There it is, chat. And I'm going to pull up your goodies, but bigger. Maybe too big. Okay, so walk me through what we're seeing, and I'm going to mute myself.
So yeah, this is just bare bones, 3 tabs with some bacon Ipsum text in them. The tabs are all anchors. They're using a very, very old trick of how anchors were first designed. So the href of the anchors points to an ID that's further down on the page. And then you can use the target pseudostate to control when they are hidden or not for the content.
Okay, I'm going to pull that up.
But since these are anchors and they're inside of a nav, it should all be tabbable, and you should be able to hit enter to actually show the content under them. The one, or I guess a couple problems here is that there is nothing shown by default because none of the anchors are clicked when you first load up the page. And clicking each one does change the URL, so it keeps adding them all to the backstack. So you'd have to, you have to keep hitting back and back and back and back if you wanted to get out of the page.
Couple of things. Backstack. God, he's so freaking fancy sometimes with his like dev terminology. I'm like, okay, did you make that up or is that a term?
No, yeah, there's a backstack that you can manipulate in JavaScript.
Okay.
I've done it for whenever I made a little front-end framework before Angular existed. We did a lot of backstack manipulation manually.
That seems like not that's like squashing all your commits to me. Like, why would you want to mess with that history?
It's whenever you're trying to build routing, If you don't want a certain like a panel, opening a panel to be in the backstack, but it still normally would be, you can just remove it manually.
Yeah, so Aaron's backing you up that it is a term. So
Yes, it is a term.
I obviously have never manipulated said backstack. But now I feel like I need to come up with, okay, so would this be a good example of, hey, let's not throw all of this into the backstack. So like if I was like, this is the way we've got to do it, we're doing it today, then it feels kind of counterintuitive though, because we're like doing all of this to avoid using JavaScript, right? But then we're going to use JavaScript to go ahead and manipulate the.
Yeah. I mean, if you're cracking out JavaScript to change the backstack, then why are you doing this in the first place?
Okay, cool. So let me get this straight, because I don't know if I've ever seen this done. So we're using anchors, and like you said, the rest of the content is just on the page. So if I go ahead and I comment out all of your CSS, I should see everything just on the page. So we've got this 1, 2, 3, and they link to each paragraph or each section of content. And then what you're doing is hiding them and showing them based on what? Active.
And so, I mean, no CSS at all. The way that these work is if your window was too short, clicking those anchors would scroll down to those sections.
And now that we have your CSS, you're just hiding and showing based on active state?
Yep.
Trying to find that.
It's going to be down below. Right there. :target.
Beautiful. You and your sass. So you're saying and is pointing to our parent, and our parent here is article. So if the article has the, what was this called? Pseudo attribute of target.
Pseudo state.
Brilliant. So if article has pseudo state of target, then I'm confused. Who is display block? The article?
The article, yep. Any article that is the target, display block. Otherwise, display none.
All right. Are you ready to put her to the test? To whip out the Chromevox?
No.
I do want to put a word of something out there to you all, because we're using it inside of a code pen or a JS Fiddle environment. It is a little bit different. There are it's not 100% Turtle's fault if this doesn't work, is what I'm saying. I'm going to pull this up this is one of the reasons I love me some CodePen. I'm going to change the view to full screen to try and get rid of as much overhead as possible. And this was that bug. I don't know. I mean, it's expected behavior, but that you talked about in the beginning. Whenever it's initial load, there's no way to set the active anchor without some fancy JavaScript. Lol. So where is my beautiful, beautiful Chromevox? There she is. Internal speed.
Tabs W anchors tab.
Okay.
Heading 1. Love. Change. Cannot view. Navigation. 1. Internal link.
You should be able to.
Oh my god! Turtle, don't do that. I can't mute when I'm like this. Sorry.
You should be able to hit enter on the tabs to select them because they are anchors.
Unmute microphone.
Okay, sorry. That was happening because I put my audio through my speakers and so that you could hear her. So sorry about that. It's the perks of streaming with
Show comment and broadcast. Button not pressed.
Oh, gotta love Chromevox. She's my sidekick today. So anyways, sorry about that feedback loop. But yes, I got so excited because this is a CSS only example. And with only using our keyboard, not our clickers, we were able to select a tab, which is an anchor, but I don't care. It's CSS only and it worked. So the big question of the day, Turtle, would you ship it? Like, would you ship it?
Not without JavaScript. You would the bare minimum would be you need to be able to click the first anchor on page load, just so one of the tabs is selected.
I'm going to pull her back up.
Button. Window tabs. W anchors tab. 1. Internal link. 1. Internal. 2. 1. Section. Navigation. 1. Internal link.
So I'm just trying to make it active with
2.
just
3. Section.
it's like selecting that section.
Navigation.
So
Section.
I am
Navigation.
able
2,
to navigate
3.
through them.
Internal link.
I'm not able to make one active with just my keyboard. But again, this could be a Chromevox specialty as well. I'm gonna go ahead and select one.
Section. Section. Bacon Microsoft Azure. Try app. Microsoft app. Section.
I'm gonna
Bacon Ipsum. Close ad. But. Section. Section. Bacon Ipsum Dolaraman Est. Tabs. Zachary Nicoll. Love. Pin. View. Navigation. 1. 2. Internal link. 1. 2.
So when I
Internal
press
link.
enter, it goes back to 1.
1. 2.
I press tab, it
Internal
goes
link.
back to 2. I press space, nothing happens. I press
3.
shift, it goes over to
Internal
3. So it seems like making these anchors active for some fun reason
Tab.
is not possible with just your keyboard. We did not test this before going live. You're welcome. Turtle, I took her off of our internal speaker, so you should be able to chime in without the redonkulous feedback loop we were getting earlier. But any ideas, Turts, why anchors aren't selectable with your keyboard?
Nope. I looked at it before. I was able to tab and hit enter to select them, and it showed things. I don't know why shift would move you around. I don't know what. You know,
Enter view.
it works on my machine.
Okay, everyone. One more
You're
time.
muted. You're muted.
Oh, for the love of-
Okay. Everyone go and pull this up. Sharing it one more time. Can you don't have to pull up a screen reader, but can you tab through them and select them with your keyboard? Or is this just like a weird my Chrome environment bug? Because I feel like with just anchors, you should be able to. I don't understand. Anyways, so let me know in the chat if it's me or if it's Turtle. That would be good to know.
Can you do it with the screen reader turned off?
Oh. Okay, let's try. So screen reader is turned off, and I'm actually going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to share my whole thing so you can see my keycaster. You'll see my video in video, but that's fine. So now you should be able to see as I type. So I tabbed. Where am I? I'm going to select this. Oh, dear God. Okay. I'm in the code. We're going to change it to full screen mode because I don't want to go over to the code when I'm tabbing. Okay, so if I click tab, it is selected on this guy. Tab, we're going through this top header view. We're on the last one, and we selected 1, press enter. What the hot garbage? Oh, it's Chromevox? Yeah, look, I'm shift tab. So shift tab, tabbing through them, shift tabbing to back up through them, tab over, enter to press. Why? Why would she turn that off? I'm wondering if Chromevox has like specialties. Like why would she take over? take over.
Seems like user error to me.
I'm going to do it one more time. I'm turning her back on for this example because we all just saw I was selecting tabs and making them active. Erin said I have to shift tab to get into it. Once I'm in, enter works, tab enter works. So this is something that I'm going to dig into more and make sure in upcoming UI Fridays I understand more, because I know each screen reader is a little bit different, and I have no idea why Chromevox is doing this. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to go and turn her on, and I'm going to put her on speaker, and I'm going to refresh this page. Do you think I should make it active with my clicker first, or do you which way would you recommend? Just to give Chromevox the best running start here.
Yep, just click one to start.
Okay, we're going to click one to start, and then we're going to go and put her on internal speakers.
Pork, belly, lamco, pork, loin.
Stop it.
Execute bacon.
Your screen section.
Turn up!
Section.
Don't do it.
Bacon
It's
ipsum
not
dollar
worth
ramen
it.
est lever as a KitKat pork section. Amazon Web Services section. Bacon Amazon bacon ipsum section. Bacon ipsum Windows StreamYard tab. Show comment and broadcast. Large screen layout. Window tabs. W anchors tab. Amazon close ad button.
I cannot get it to. I can't get it to select anything. Like I tab and it just goes straight off of this whole thing, which makes me wonder. I'm going to turn her off so she doesn't hijack us again.
Extensions tab.
It makes me wonder, like with the other examples, if they would have worked just as well. But if it's because I'm using Chromevox to test this, interesting. Okay, well, it's still good to know. Actually, the one that's worked the best so far was the one by Erin, who used JavaScript to go ahead and just hey, on tab, do this. Hey, on spacebar, do this, which seems a bit overkill. And I know we're running late on time, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it. Turtle, you had two more examples. This one I'm going to call I'm going to share the screen, just not the whole screen. That one, share. So this one, tabs with anchors, was the one that we just talked about. So this next one, do you want to introduce us to? And I will mute.
The next two, they're both using the radio button trick. The only difference between them is one has the label and content right after the input, and the other is a little more semantically organized, so that the nav is separate from the tab content. But yeah, this one, the CSS is a little bit cleaner because it can be much more generic of just show the tab content that's after the checked radio.
So yes, if you missed the beginning examples, this is one of the first. Erin said edges, read aloud, gets a little wonky, and reads all the tabs and doesn't recognize my clicks and tabs like I'm used to. So yeah, it's really, thank you for testing that, Erin, because it seems odd that tab would get hijacked and stop working the way you expect it to work. But maybe I just don't know how to use a keyboard. I don't know why it's not working. So this is the one, if you missed the beginning part of the show, that we walked through, that Turtle taught me, and I was just enamored with the power of selectors, right? So this one is using, because your input, label, and content follow this order, you can have this super clean, hey, if you have an input of type radio and it's checked, and then this guy, I get this one and the Enye mixed up. So a real quick primer on that, Turts.
Plus is immediately adjacent selector, so it's the element that comes right after your first one. The tilde, not Enye, the tilde is any following elements, so it's not immediate adjacent. It's any elements after this one. And we don't yet have a selector to get things before, only after.
Will we ever? Because the way you kind of said that sounded like they're working on it in the spec.
Yeah, I think it's in the CSS4 spec.
Okay, you've got to admit it's a pretty big game changer. Like that would change so many things.
That and I think we get a parent selector too. There's actually quite a bit of really cool stuff coming.
Do you know when that drops? Is that like a unknown out there in the ether?
I don't know. I try not to pay attention to it because then it feels a lot longer.
Because then you're like, we're never going to get it. Okay, so this one is very similar to those first two examples. We're going to go, where's my full screen? Where's my full screen? Here it is. Okay. And I'm going to do it without Chromevox first because apparently that's something we need to test. Tab. All right. We are selecting the first one. So this is already a million miles ahead of where we were at. Tab, enter, not working. Spacebar, not working. Shift tab does go back. But I can't seem to select anything. Can anyone think of a key that we're not thinking of that selects things? I tried enter, I tried space. Arrow, maybe? Let me see. Tab. No, the arrows are not doing anything. What if I click on? No. Okay, so now we're gonna go screen reader it up. Here she comes to save the day. And I'm going to put her in internal speakers and we're going to unmute her. And Turtle, get out any comments right now?
I doubt the screen reader will work. Just the same reason your enter key didn't work. It's because they're labels, and so they're not clickable elements.
Okay, here we go. We're going to unmute her.
Tabs W radios tab 2.
Mm-mm.
All
right, muting her. So shift tab went in and selected the content, which is fascinating to me. I wonder if it's because it's backing up into the content. It's so bizarre. Because usually when you tab, it'll like go 1, 2, 3, shift tab 3, 2, 1. But now we're popping down inside of it, which I would expect with something like enter or space, which I'm going to actually pull up. Where is it? This JS Fiddle by Andrew Bone, shared it earlier in the chat. So if I tab through his, and then we went too far. If I tab through his, and then shift tab. I don't know why this is happening. Chromevox is like manually, watch this. Tab, hands off the keys. Nothing. Are you happy? Oh, so I was trying to do shift tab and I guess shift and tab, he is telling them both to do the same thing, which isn't, I think holding down shift and then doing the key should reverse it. So I don't think that's super intuitive. The arrows do work though, which is beautiful. And then they're auto selecting the panel to be active. So again, JavaScript right now manually saying, hey, if the key code is this, do that. Right now is winning, but that's just for Chromevox. I don't know how it's going to work with other ones. And I honestly don't know why she's hijacking our keys, but not to an accessibility advantage. So I'm definitely excited to dig into more of this. We've got one more example with Turtle, the Turts. Let's see. Here we go. Pulling it up. Gonna throw it in chat. Throwing it in chat. Someone had an idea. Idoware. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. Yeah. Press and hold for a few seconds. That's an idea. And then UHF, what about another modifier with tab, command, alt, control? Let's try it. Okay, so that was really, really great suggestions. I'm sharing Turtle's final example, and I'm going to go back over to our previous example. You want to test this one or this one? Maybe this one? Let's test tab with anchors. Turtle's giving me a shrug. He doesn't care. All right, we're going to test tab with anchors, and we've got to turn her back on. And tab with anchors. And man, it doesn't rest on the anchor. Like it's just, I know I have her muted because, sorry, that was my bad. I was trying to select something up here without rerouting. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we are on the first tab. And if I press tab, it goes over, shift, it goes over. The arrows do not work. We had the idea of trying to hold down tab. Whoa. Let's go ahead and pull up the JavaScripty one. Yeah, so holding down tab just seems to like burst through. Holding down shift doesn't do anything. There it goes. That's a bit jank. So if we hold down shift, it like on the press of shift, it tabs us over. So it just tabs us over, but I'm still holding down shift. So now I can back up. So it's a bit wonk. This one, let's see, tabs with radios. Well, that one's letting us tab through. Shift is going sometimes into the content, sometimes not. And that shift tab is letting me back up. Enter space, it's not letting me select. Just funky things, funky things. All right, turning her off. We're going to go and pull up Turtle's final example. We are short on time. So Turtle, tell us about tabs with radios, but who cares about active states?
This one, exactly the same as before, except the inputs are down in the content, next to the tab content articles. This just, without, I mean, we could still do some jankier selectors if we wanted to have active states, but if we want the CSS to be clean, then we don't get tab active states because the inputs are not before the labels.
Muted. I want to try changing the view full screen. I'm going to leave her muted, but I'm still going to turn her on just to see if I can tab through all the things. So we're on 1, press tab on 2, press tab on 3, press tab again. We're into 1. That's interesting. Shift tab back through them. If I spacebar, nothing happens. Enter, nothing happens. Still no way of selecting. Arrow keys aren't doing anything. But the navigating seems to make more sense. Which is funny. It's so funny to me. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our editor view and turn off this so that we can have audio for Turtle. Yes, it's just so funny to me how you change the slightest thing and now it's selecting some of the content. I think that's because in the markup, it's after your sections with all of your content are after your nav elements. So I think as you're tabbing through, it's like, yeah, 1, 2, 3. And then there's some content down here. But look, you're only showing one of the blocks. So I'm only going to allow you to tab through one of the content blocks, I think is what's happening. You can tell me if.
Well, I set the tab indexes. So the labels are 1, 2, 3. And then all of the content blocks have a tab index of 4.
Okay.
So
it's only going to go to the one that's displayed.
One thing I noticed, I don't know if you clicked or if I missed something, but I'm pretty sure you somehow activated the second tab on the tabs with radios. CodePen? Yeah, see, you're in the second tab there. And I don't know if you clicked it or if you did something with your keyboard. I don't know.
You're saying I shouldn't be able to do that? All right, we're going to read.
I said, so you're saying I shouldn't be able to do that. So let's refresh. and do our best to select. All right, so actually no, we're gonna stop sharing and we're gonna share everything so you can see my key clicks. The whole thing. The whole thing. Okay. Tab, tabby, tab. All right, we're on 1. We're on 2. Hit enter, hit space, hit down arrow, up arrow, over arrow, all the arrows. I don't know if I'm like out of everything now. Oh, right. I was going to try control, command, all those goodies. All right. So control tab just jumped us to a different tab in Chrome. Option tab. What just happened? What is happening? I'm on the wrong example. Option by itself does nothing. Option tab seems to be doing, I think it's completely ignoring the option part. It's just tabbing through. Command tab. Command does nothing on its own. And now I'm into, it's a Mac thing. I'm out of the, I don't know if you can see it, but it's trying to toggle between my Chrome, my Finder, and my terminal. I know I think those were all the things that you wanted me to try. Shift. She's so funny. So I'm going to pull up your code on this one because I really wanted to talk about that for a second. So setting tab index, Turtle, is that, oh, she's still on. Sorry, hang on. Setting tab index is the only reason to do that for like a screen reader or for someone who's trying to navigate with their keyboard. Like that's the only reason tab index is needed. Like what order to tab through these things?
Yes, and you can also do it for it's for non-mouse navigation. I did it for whenever I built a UI for a TV. When the people would navigate around with their TV remote, you had to do tab indexes all over the place to know where to go and when. I also did it in the first tabs with radios example. It's much more important there because the HTML is not in the order that we want people to tab through. Since everything is all in siblings of each other, I want that first article to be tab index of 4, but so when you're tabbing, I want to skip over the articles. So you want to do the labels as 1, 2, 3. And then even though the articles are interspersed in there, we want them to be afterwards.
Well,
As we said, without Chromevox active, tabbing through and then shift tabbing is working as expected. It's the selecting, that's the gotcha. There's no way. Is there any wonderful built-in HTML attribute like tab index that's like this thing's selectable, use enter? Or are we getting into JavaScript world? Like
Anchors.
yeah.
Anchors or buttons.
Yeah.
But I think that's it.
Okay. Cool. Well, Turtle, it has been so freaking fun. I know you have to go, but seriously, I appreciate you so much. The elusive and rarely seen Turtle, Turtle guy, round of applause. C Films, hey, I see you hopped in. I'm glad you're feeling better. But yes, I know it was a short but sweet episode, but I promise to do a bit more digging into accessibility in regards to specific screen readers and why they're hijacking keys and what they want you to do. I know when I got into this before, there's actually a way of customizing like your screen reader to be like, I want to use these keys instead of these keys. So I'm going to double check my settings, but play around with these, enjoy them, and have a freaking awesome weekend, everybody. Any sign off, Turtle? Anything to?
Nope.
Thank you. Thank you, Turtle. All right. Well, it was brilliant. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And I will see you next week. Mwah!